Okay, kia ora everybody. I'm talking with Cam McKay. He's coming to us from every Southern man's best office, the Ute, is it?
It is. It's actually a very, very old school ute. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the make and model that you're rocking there?
A 1994 Toyota Hilux.
Beautiful.
So classic. On the VIN stamp, it's assembled in Christchurch.
Lovely. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, no, I did have one of those, and somebody decided they'd liked it when I went home from Christchurch down to McKay one weekend, came back, and my truck wasn't parked where I left it. So, don't know where I went, but someone's having fun.
You sure it's not this one?
No, it was green. It was green. Yeah. Mate, what did you do last weekend? We had a scorcher up here in Hawke's Bay, but what did you get up to?
What did I do? Snuck over the coast briefly. Didn't actually get much of a hunt in. Actually, it was a bit of an interesting story. So I went, I actually had a crack at whitebaiting, caught bugger all, because I couldn't get the dinghy motor started, so that was a bit of a balls up for a start. Threw my toys, fished somewhere I didn't want to be. I'm not a big fan of whitebaiting anyway, to be honest. It's just, I was there for the day. And gave that up, caught, I don't know, 200 grams or something. And then jumped in the water at Jackson's Bay, went for a dive. And I'm a rookie. I missed the only cray that I managed to find. So that's fine. And then this is where it gets interesting. I thought on the way home I'd go for a wee drive up a valley called the Landsborough.
Yep.
So I hadn't been up there for like 10 years. And you can drive quite a way up, and I just sort of glass some of those clearings for a deer, knowing it's not really that many deer in there, but why not? It's on the way home, last light. And come across a joker, this old guy, turns out he's 64, living rough in the Landsborough. Yeah. He's been there for 5 years.
Wicked. You get a bit of that on the coast, eh?
Bit of it out of an individual. Ended up giving him a ride back to Wanaka to do his 5 weekly shop. It's all a bit interesting, eh?
No, that's good. That beats the last hitchhiker I picked up. I'd done a wee overnighter in the car workers, and coming down the road, the dude was walking across, and he said he'd been in the next sort of rangy thing down from where I was, and he'd come back to his campsite, and someone had nicked off with his food and his tarp, so he was walking out about 4 days early.
It might have been this guy.
Bit of a long way to hitchhike, I think. The car workers to the west coast, but no, yeah. So, as I said before we hit record, we'll just go with this freeballing, and because I'll get to know you, and everybody else will get to know you. So, who is Cam McKay today, man?
Oh, good question. Well, I guess online retail is probably the main game.
Yeah.
We obviously fiddle a bit with social media, with varying success. It frustrates the shit out of me at times. I do a bit of hunting guiding. With the Point South stuff and First Lite stuff, I'm pretty lucky to have, I know, good people around me that I've managed to sort of draw in to make it all happen. That's sort of definitely been pivotal. Like, it wouldn't have happened without those people. I guess 2 young businesses that are finding their feet, but eventually we're getting there, eh?
Yeah. So who is Point South as a setup? I see the logo, like the likes of Sean Monk. Is he Point South, and you guys are
he's heavily involved.
Hugh Begley, is that right? And Luke Potts, is that something to do with it, or just a bunch of Americans?
Pretty kind of hit the nail on the head, really. Hey? That's pretty essentially that's the crew. We do get a lot of help from other, I guess, wider crew. There's a lot of them. People are kind enough to contribute articles and just support it and get at it and share images, and it's all great. We love it, and
Nice. So what's the ethos of Points South? I always forget that S on the end of points.
That trips up a lot of people. Still trips me up, really. Ethos. How do you mean respect and ethos? Ethos. Like, what do you? I guess the goal or the.
Yeah. What's the passion behind Point South? What are you guys passionate for and about?
The idea was always to share recreational hunting in a real positive light, and keep a sort of high level of ethics, and just a lot of people don't think, how do you put it, hunters are so diverse that you go on a bit of a journey essentially. So it takes a few years to do that. So it's good to, I wish I had this, I guess, information, or could follow these pages or things as I was going through that hunting journey, would be a good thing. And then the other side of it is, it was always designed to help feather some online retail and create a business and make it sustain itself, to be able to do it, for us to be able to do better trips and do all sorts of things. That was always the idea.
So when you say about the narrative that you sort of wish you'd come up with, like for me, it was sort of coming from Southland hunting was always in the blood. Like rugby season gets shut down on duck shooting weekend, and there's plenty of kids that have 22s and rifles, shotguns and stuff at primary school, and you're going, oh yeah, well, I know my old man has a 22 somewhere, but I've never seen it, sort of thing. And I don't know, it's just sort of in the vernacular for me for a long time, but then it wasn't until uni came along. So we're talking 5 or 10 years of being into it, and you say about this narrative of what's ethical and what's the right thing to do, and how should you actually go about hunting, and there's no right way, but there's, like you say, a set of morals and stuff. How does that sort of messaging for the New Zealand hunter conflict to what you were sort of brought up with, or explored, if you will?
I guess we all grew up in, I'm 30, should I forget, 37 years old. And I grew up with the usual, if it's brown, you bloody shoot it. It's just standard. In a way it still is, but it's good to get people thinking about chamois, family groups of chamois. Don't bomb them up, because they're the future.
Yeah.
Same with tahr in a lot of respects. We need to be more careful now that a lot of tahr are getting taken out. Things like that to the 5-day or a year hunter might not necessarily occur to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, and again, going with the narratives, a lot of guys are now putting up their failures or their misses or their long walks, long armed walks, and talking about it. I think that getting out there and appreciating the hard yards, and that it's not a 10-minute kill shot, sitting around having some beers afterwards. It's actually a far greater and far more rewarding experience.
It's all good to see the highlight reel, isn't it? But that's not the reality. We all make stuff ups, and some hunts take a lot of work, and others just fall in your lap. It's just how it bloody works. Yeah.
Yeah. No. That was what I put about in that last post when I knocked over that seeker. It was sort of an hour's work, and I felt a bit of a cheat after days and days of walking kaimais and kawikas now, to just rock on up, walk around a couple of little hills and see massive mobs and pick one out was a bit I don't know, bittersweet.
Oh well.
Yes. But I can tell you that
you feel dirty for it.
No, not dirty for it, but and the further and further I get away from it, and the more and more I eat it. Like I just finished off knocking over a slow cooked primal and some tacos, and I can definitely more and more appreciative of that early start to the day. And it was a beautiful day as well. You can start to glorify and see it for what it is. It's fantastic, and hopefully going to another mate's farm in the near future and see if we can pick up some reds. It'd be fantastic. In the Wanaka area, you're privileged with species, and like you said, it's not too much to get over to the west coast. Is it the best kept secret in the world? I saw Joseph Peter today thinking that the South Island of New Zealand and West Canada should make their own country.
I just saw that when I got on the door, and I thought that was a bit of a laugh. Actually, he's kind of hit the nail on the head a wee bit. There's a few things to like, isn't there?
Yeah. So he must be a big follower of the rivets over in Canada, because I saw that there was your daughter was talking about how West Canada is like conservative and likes guns and hunting, and then they're showing the representation of the other side of politics on the rest of the country.
Yeah, it's funny how it bloody works out, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I guess gets me into what I was going to talk to you about, and there's your article that was in NZ Hunter, and it came about at the most poignant time for me. I'd just finished talking to Brian Call, who of course came over here on his own back, and used a bit of local knowledge and international knowledge, and had a relatively successful 5 days and went back again. And it was kind of like he did nothing wrong. For me, going out there, I self-guide, if you want to call it that, and I don't really know what I'm doing. But then at the same time, he took away some of our resource, inverted commas, without, as he said, it was cheaper for him to come here than it was to hunt in his own country. And then you sort of said, well, as hunters, we're not exactly got a framework set up to do anything about it. So just talk us through sort of your mindset of writing that NZ Hunter article and how it came about. What did sort of Greg pitch to you, or did you pitch to him, or what was the story?
No, it was actually, I think it was definitely on their minds, but I sort of threw that out as a bone, as maybe I could write this, and then it very much ballooned a wee bit from there, and I was like, hang on, I'm a bit worried about the angle here. This I don't want to come across as a dick, but how do you put it? Like, it was more around the regards to the license. Like, with international was a side thing. Good on Brian Call. He came here and got the hunt done and did it. Admittedly, it had some help prior from, he's been guided here before and soaked up a lot of, as you say, local knowledge. So he was, a step ahead of the average international hunter, that's for sure. But no disrespect to him, he did well.
Yeah.
With the license thing, which bit do you want to talk about? The license thing or the international?
Let's start with the license, because that's the body of your article.
Yep. Well, I mean, my personal views, this is not necessarily the views of, what's South in a nutshell, it's mine, is that until we start respecting the resource enough to actually pay for it ourselves, nothing will change. And if we start paying for it, then obviously we end up with money for lobbying. If you look at Fish and Game as the prime example, big budgets. Forest and Bird spent $9.5 million last year. It's crazy. It's crazy money. And here we are fluffing around doing nothing to preserve our sport for the future generations, when we could simply all pay whatever it is a year, $80, $100 or whatever, 2 boxes of beer, and have the same system and actually keep this going in the future and not take all these step backwards that we're seeing. We're getting hit from quite a few angles lately. So that's in my head the licensing thing anyway, because it's there, it's achievable.
Yeah. And so in your article, you sort of touched on Game Animal Council, and in parallel to you, sort of Gwyn Thurlow wrote on in Hunter's Journal, very similar thing, put out the numbers, put out.
That was a great article.
Yeah. And then going back to Joseph, he shared your article on his page and started quite a lot of debate, and then it sort of ended up being Gwyn and Greg Dawley having a yarn about it.
they got stuck into the actual legislation. And like Gwyn obviously has a lot of knowledge there. As does Greg, clearly, but I don't know the ins and outs of that side. But yeah, it's good to get that stuff coming to a head and getting it worked out. And Joseph Peter is a bloody good one for have it. He's not scared to say what he thinks, and he annoys some people for it, but it's bloody good because a lot of it needs to be bloody said.
Yeah, no, I was super stoked when Tarmageddon was going down and he agreed to come on and hear his 2 cents. It was fantastic.
He is the most passionate man I know. Seriously, like, and he lives and breathes it. That's what he does.
Yeah,
it's his livelihood. It's his recreation. It's everything he does.
Yeah, and speaking to that, the livelihood thing, I guess that's where we go to the international. That he was immediately someone I thought of, and I was speaking to TJ from Meteanoa, who's put it in the early days on semi-estate but public wild Wild Games, and there's Oliver Cubby Walker as well doing a similar setup down in the Wairarapa. And I was thinking,
Yep.
shit, you know, these guys are starting it off here, and yet this is, you know, and it's disruption. You know, as an optometrist, we know stranger to disruption, and it's all around us. But
You got that going on really bad at the minute, don't you?
yeah, no, there's a few things a few angles, you know, free this and cheat this and buy it from wherever, or go on a holiday and get it made up. It might work, but yeah, if it does, you're in. So, you know, we should take the attitude that we've got to be professional and have skills and knowledge and implement that and manage the person and the consumables. Well, that's you can't play the consumer market if because there's a race to the bottom when it comes to that. So how does that sort of disruption affect you guys as guys? Or you go for it?
Well, no, it's just interesting because it's kind of similar to, I guess, in respect what we're doing with retail. You know, a lot of guys won't like that we're online only. You know, that's the classic problem for bricks and mortar is they go, oh yeah, online, it's bad. I'll get annoyed by it. It's like, well, it's reality. So here I am doing a sales model where I'm buying it from the US and selling it to customers in New Zealand and Australia. And because I'm selling it myself and I'm not doing the classic distributor where I'm sending it to all these retailers, bricks and mortar retailers, I can keep the pricing achievable. So I can supply better gear at a similar price. It's, you know, they would see that as disruptive, but it's a free market. It's just how it's going. You know, we can market stuff so much easier these days.
Yeah. And, you know, when I had Cam Henderson on, he exactly said, you know, that he was stoked with what you're doing because it means that he can get the best gear, and, you know, if he has a problem with it or sizing doesn't fit or needs, you know, and I had the same example. So I said, you know, I think I know what I want, but I want to try the other one, and you set them both up, and sure enough, I did want to stick with what I wanted, but that other product was sensational, and it made it probably harder. But then at the same time, confirmed in my head what, you know, that what I did like about the Obsidian pant was exactly what it was, and like you said, you tested it out on the hill. That was awesome to know that it performs in New Zealand. Yep.
Well, that's, I guess, the one barrier to online retailers. You don't get this interaction, what we're doing right now. You know? Well, you sometimes do, but you more often don't. So it's not as easy. You can't talk a customer through it and ask them as many questions and this and that. So I guess you've got to, you know, be very straight up about what you're selling, but also have good returns policies. You know, if someone's unsure, they just send me it back, and hey, what are you? Oh, you're doing this? Yeah, cool. You should have tried that one. Simple things like that.
And so, do you think that's where having it across the Point South brand, you know, the blog, the social medias and stuff, that opens it up to a bit more transparency about who it is behind this?
It definitely does. I don't know that was the original intention. The intention there was just to make it easier, really. In a way, and also do a better job of marketing. You know, you had to have all of these social buttons and try and push it every which way you can, and email and this and that, because, you know, we're a small business. It's not easy to get yourself out there. So it was probably more about that, to be completely honest.
Yeah. And so how have you found Meat Eater taking over the brand?
I haven't, who knows? I haven't noticed a difference yet. I'm excited about it because, you know, that gives First Lite as a brand, you know, a lot more options, you know, like, I think, you know, marketing, leverage, obviously more capital invested so they can own more stock and do more things is a bloody exciting thing. How that affects me being the minnow down the chain, I don't know. But I do know that, you know, previously I've struggled to get product when, you know, they're out of stock quite a bit. So I'm hope, you know, that's getting better going forward. So things like that are just nothing but positive to me.
Yeah, and it was sort of a bit of a shock to see, because I'd sort of seen the Get Hushin boys that obviously have come out to New Zealand quite a number of times, both North Holland and South Holland. And then that famous Joe Rogan picture of him on the front of a magazine holding an out bag. He's wearing First Lite on that. And so it was sort of one of those things that's on the radar, and then you kind of go, oh, yeah. It's another one of those American brands that are hard to access. But then, sure enough, Cam starts going, yeah, look at these guys. Was it a coup? Like,
I don't know. Like, it's funny how it came about, actually, because my background is, as far as retailing stuff, was actually, I did retail and managing retail stores for a long time, and importing and distribution for a long time, mostly in the ski industry.
Mm-hmm.
And lifelong hunter, just keen as hell. So I was always looking at these hunting brands going, shit, what's getting missed here? Bloody hell.
Mm.
And just saw it and went, all right, so different sales model, and pick up one of these brands that we can do direct. And I've been watching Firstlite for a long time and just loving it, because obviously the New Zealand merino.
Oh yeah,
the quality of the gear is phenomenal, and just all of these good things just stacked up. And so once I built a good following online and had it all kind of in place, but not really, I actually just got on the phone and I rang Ryan O'Callaghan, who was the marketing guy at the time, and had a conversation, put it to him. And he probably took me more seriously than he should have at the time. And here we are. So it was good. Yeah.
And so what does that speak to, the nuts to call up somebody over in the States and go, yeah, mate, I'm ready to take you guys to New Zealand. Well, where did that come from, or just your experience with doing the distribution
just experience,
already?
man. You just just everyone's the same. You get up in the morning and have a shit, Just I don't know. You got to take chances. You got to do these things, and it worked in the end, so it was good.
Yeah. And have you had, First Lite have been putting out that New Zealand merino marketing at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a chance to meet any of the crew, or get your hands on some of that stock footage, or what was it?
Yeah, we were over there. We were over there. It wasn't last year, it was the year before. A couple of Februaries ago, whatever it was. Maybe it was January. And flew up to Idaho and hung out for a couple of days in Ketchum and talked business for a bit, and then went and shot some ducks with the First Lite guys, and it was cool. Like they put it, they're the most down to earth Americans I've ever met. Yeah. You walk into the office and there's more dogs running around than people.
Yeah.
And it's just low key. It was a good laugh. Yeah.
Nice. So how often have you gone to the States for hunting, or
I try and get over every year. So we're going back over. I'll be back there this February. Just trying to work out whether we can catch up with the First Lite guys or how to make that work. Because I'm going over to do a hunting show to try and sell some hunts. But yeah, so it kind of all ties in. It's handy to be able to play those off a wee bit and kill two birds when I'm over there.
Yeah. And when you say trying to sell some hunts, is that to find new clients over there, or it's mostly about the word of mouth?
Well, find new clients for my hunting. So I also sell, free range hunts, mostly tar and chamois is the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Sell for my business partner Ewan. That's essentially what we do, is we try and focus on the elk point hunting. We do sell high fence. It doesn't really spin our wheels, but that's what you kind of have to do here, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But we're Kiwi rec hunters through and through. We want to sell real hunts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an easy thing, and we are battling with it, actually, to be honest. It's not an easy sell.
No.
Yeah.
And so, what is it now? Nearly a year in. What is the effect of the culling? Have you noticed anything yet?
I haven't had enough time in the hills since it's been done. They did it all, just after the season, and I've done a few wee trips, and you do see a few social posts, like Glenn's one.
Yeah.
You see the effects, and I think it's great that he's posting that and putting it out there, because all of these greenies that, go, oh yeah, no, sort those tar out, are probably not quite aware of what that means. Here's a pile of 5 dead tar rotting. That probably doesn't spin their wheels either. So
No.
do they understand what they're encouraging? I don't know. But in reality, we all know that we need to keep tar in check. But then at the same time, it's a resource. It needs to be managed to a level that it's sustainable for all of us, and doesn't damage the environment. So we'll see what they do. We'll see. Next year will be the interesting thing. Yeah. And interestingly, they haven't, they've smashed East Coast, as we all knew they would, because it's easy numbers for the spend.
Yeah.
I look at where they've killed some of those tar in some of those Westland head basins or Westland valleys, and I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, well, shit, that's where the problem was. And you've killed how many? Shit all.
Yeah. So, obviously with that, it kicked the tar liaison group into action. As you guys, you spoke about Joseph, as people that use it as a resource, and like you said, you sell recreational hunts, and that's the main part of where you'd like your business to go. What's the sort of liaison going on between them and you guys, and then the likes of the helicopter trophy guys and the Waro guys? Is there a table that's been set, or a group chat? I don't know.
To be honest, you've put me on the most touchy subject ever, I guess. No would be the answer. As a rec hunter, I see issue with how we manage Waro, for example.
Yeah.
Waro is there as a tool to lower population numbers. We all know that the population is driven by the number of females, yet we have operators that go out and, or all of them go out and smash purely stags during Jan and Feb. That ruins the recreational value for a huge number of people. We can all see the issue with that. And then as far as heli hunting, most Kiwi hunters find it bloody abhorrent. But then, in all honesty, I've guided heli hunts for other people. I hate to admit it. I've done that for other outfitters. I've done plenty of it, and I don't enjoy it. They go out and usually smack semi-mature, semi-mature animals, and it's just how do you put it? They're not selling the experience. They're selling. It's more important to those guys to basically get the quick turnaround. The tar hunt, or the heli tar or heli sham is just an add-on to their stag hunt. Whereas here I am trying to sell tar hunting or chamois hunting as an experience. They're forgetting the whole experience bit. But they're giving people what they want at the same time. So who's the mug? Probably me.
Yeah. I guess on the flip side, and this is where what I was talking about with optometry and selling the specialization and the experience and the knowledge for you guys, and I touched on it with Brian, when it comes to safety and livelihood, and we don't know what exactly happened with Adam Greentree, but he's unfortunately the famous example, isn't he? And so it's not a walk in the park.
No, it's not a walk in the park. And someone with supposedly the experience that Greentree has should have been able to look at a topographical map and go, oh, this creek drops away about
200 meters, he said.
Whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Gone, that's going to be problematic. That's inexperience. Like
and he did it twice, and he did it twice as well, which was, I'd love. I've tried to talk to him. I'd love to talk to him, but it's just
you won't get him.
Yeah. It's kind of like how do you tell the same story twice over?
Oh, like I know exactly where he was. I've hunted that area quite a lot,
Yeah,
and you like a lot of the west coast, you simply do not drop down creeks. You take leading ridges in the bush. Common sense.
yeah,
Most shit, 99% of Kiwi hunters would work that out. But but hey, it's all for the gram.
yeah. No, I
Yeah,
worked that out in the Commons, which is obviously less
yeah,
dangerous than. And now I know that, yeah, like you say, take the leading ridge with the bush and enjoy the bush as a little safety net, and and get down the hill.
mm, pretty much, pretty much. But respect to him. Hey, like he sells his thing and does his thing, and the Americans lap it up. That's fine. Yeah.
And so, do you think that's positive brand image, negative brand image, indifferent? For us,
Oh,
for us that is. For us that is. It's
from a Kiwi perspective, we all just sort of do the old face palm. But for on an international scale of things, yeah, it's an interesting one because hey, he's pushing more, you know, DIY hunters here,
yeah,
which we're back to that other topic in a way, is good for tourism, good in a lot of respects, but it's not high end tourism. It doesn't create a lot of spend. It doesn't feed the guiding industry that I'm trying to chase, but that's fine. Um, Safety, that's definitely an issue. Every year we have more hiccups in the mountains. Um, Comes back to that license thing in a way, or how do we get those people to pay for the resources they use that we as taxpayers set up? The huts, the tracks, the shit, they're pulling them out when they get into trouble.
yeah,
The ACC that they can use when they do hurt themselves here. That's all it costs on us taxpayers. And it's a growing thing. If you look at all the ballots around the country, um, international numbers are growing quite dramatically.
yeah.
So
I saw two Aussies that have entered.
yeah, no, like good on them, get at it.
Yeah,
But and most of those, particularly the Australians, most of the Australians would be very quick to go, hey, yeah, well, we should pay our share.
yeah.
You know, most of them would be. So
And I guess going back to the license, as you said, it doesn't need to be anything stringent. And having now had a good discussion with some Aussies about, well, what would it take to go there? It's that simple. Get a license, get an area, and there you
oh
go.
yeah, well, we've done it for other introduced species. We shoot a lot of introduced ducks, mallards, and that they're not native. Trout, there's the prime one. Yeah, it's been done, can be done, and I'm sure there was an uproar at the time. I can't remember it. I can't remember when the fishing license came in. I must have been very young, but I'm sure people didn't like it at the time.
Well, like hunting for a long time, it was a privileged thing to do. So, you know, you read plenty of hunting books. I was reading Ray Tinsley, Call of the Wapiti, and for the
Yeah,
first sort of 100 pages, maybe it's just talking about how much he poached.
yeah,
Stealing fish, stealing birds, and stealing people's
yeah.
deer and stuff. So, you know, and I guess that when it comes to the licenses, that's the sort of thing that we forget as a country, that the only reason that we can get out there and do so much is that they do have this pest status, and so that also means that if someone decides it, or a certain leaning group decides it, that we're going to be a land of bush and birds, then that pest and that resource is gone.
We also have short memories. It's not that long ago. Like you're talking, 70s, 80s, mid 90s or more, where deer were thin on the ground. Like keen hunters would be, not getting that many deer.
Mm.
I know in my local area here, there's the Nevis, for example. The deer got basically shot out in that Waro heyday.
Mm.
It was very rare to see a deer in that big tussock country. So as a growing up young hunter, we'd go to the West Coast and hope to bloody whack one in the bush. And it was still a very, very, very slim chance. It's changed now. Like there's a lot more game in the hills. There certainly is. So there's a lot more opportunity, and we're seeing a lot more hunters as a result, which is great because we need to keep them in control. But I guess with it comes all the politics.
Mm. And so with that, you do think that the popularity of hunting is increasing? Do you think it is the type of person that goes out and walks or choppers to the back country and sets up and does it, or is it still go to the back of the farm and get some meat for your freezer? Like that's always going to be there because it's a great resource.
My perception here in my local environment is it's definitely increased. I've got so many friends over the years that have gotten into it. It's definitely increased in popularity here, I would say. But then it's probably regional. Like you go, North Island, it's always been about back of the farm, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a big part of it, and same it is here. But I guess as private land becomes harder to access for the general masses as the population grows and as it becomes more problematic for farmers. I understand that. So public land becomes very important as a result.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my take would be hunting seems to be growing fairly well, which is good. But I'm happy with that. It's great.
Yeah. Going back to a topic you brought up about Warrow going through in February and January, and my story of the Blue River was particularly one of those ones. A certain Makarora helicopter pilot likes the Blue River. And then there's been a number of 1080 drops in another catchment that I've been into, the Timaru Creek. It's hard to sort of, again, it's this common debate of our interest versus the doc's interest. But how do you sort of feel that there's a big hoo-ha to get enrolled in that Wanaka ballot for the people to, especially if you come from the North Island, you're flying down there, you're setting up, you're hiring cars, you're walking in, taking weeks off work, to then go into an empty basin. What does that do to the motivation, and does it just sort of take us away, and then we get the booming deer numbers again? It's tough, eh?
Yeah, it's not ideal. It's a kind of a shit situation, and I think it's easily solved. It's easily solved by just shooting hinds from machines.
Yeah.
That sorts it out and keeps the population in check. Everyone wins. Wire operators will still be feasible just doing that. Just maybe not as many months of the year. I don't know. In saying that, I've worked for wire operators gutting, on private land jobs. I don't like doing the public ones. And what happens on private land when we do wiro? We shoot females and shit heads.
Yeah.
Because the landowner sees the stags as a resource. But yet on public, these boys get free for all. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But for motivation as a hunter, yeah, you fly into a West Coast ballot block and land and find a heap of gut bags. It kind of certainly pisses you off. I've lost count of the number of times I've been hunted over or that sort of thing. And it's fine. We need wiro. Like, respect for wiro. We bloody need it. It just maybe needs to be more in tune with the whole system.
Yeah. And I guess looking at it from putting their hat on and the economic perspective, if you've got a fixed cost and you're going so far, that cost doesn't change. So if you can optimize the take, and most of that stuff's on carcass weight, and what's heavier?
100%. But every single one of these wire operators has another day job. I guess they'll be doing tourist, or they'll be doing shipping around dock, or doing whatever they do for the rest of their flying. Most of them don't have machines dedicated, or a sole part of their business dedicated to wiro. It is, in my mind, it's a hard one. Like, it's always going to ruffle feathers, and I appreciate where those boys come from. I really do. But I guess in a lot of respects, recreational hunting is growing a lot, so it becomes more apparent. There's often people seeing these guys and getting pissed off by these guys. But we do need to keep animal numbers down. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and I guess that takes us back to your article. You know, if we want to take responsibility for it, we need to pay for it, we need to fund it, and we need to come up with a group to organise a management strategy.
Yeah, now I'm no genius, that's for bloody certain. But, in my mind, that license, a lot of people will disagree with what I'm about to say, that license could actually pay to subsidise Wairo in times of low venison prices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everyone will just go, oh shit, that's no good. But, well, is it actually bad? If we've got trusted operators that go out and smash a few females out and keep the population in check when it's not viable for them to do so as private enterprise, we keep the environment good, we keep the stags on the hill, where's the bloody loss?
Yeah, and you just need to listen to a couple of podcasts with Cam Speedy. I know Paul Michaels has got one, and Hunting a Reek from Australia had another awesome chat with Cam. And then look at what Fiordland Wapiti Foundation's starting to produce. What are they doing? There's the example.
Prime example. And not only that, look at the trap lines they're running. All the, it's there. The example's there. We just need a Department of Conservation that will actually, I guess, proactively try to expand that to more of our herds that are special. And there's plenty of them.
Yeah. And I guess that's where we might have to wait for a different government to move forward with the Game Animal Council's herds of special interest.
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that, it's not just an example to Doc, it's an example to the recreational hunter out there too. And that's where you guys are on the blog, having this sort of management / conservation, and it's hard to call it conservation if you're just taking one animal, but as a collective, if we think about it in terms of quality, low population, that's high in stags, creates good raws, creates good quality genetic pass on, the best stag wins type of stuff, then really that's what we want as a recreational hunter. We want to see action, we want to see the best stags out there, and we want to see lots of good stags. So who get plenty of feed, so that they can express their genetics. It'd be fantastic.
We would all have a better time in the raw rut as if that was the case. That's for sure. I'd much rather personally. Well, I mean, I target a few areas for tahr that are far from key, and I do that because I know I'm going to see way less animals, but I've got a better chance of seeing something bloody worthy.
So one of the guys at NZDA here in Hastings has a magnificent tahr head. I think it's one of the top 10 in the country. But
yeah, cool.
On it, there's a few years where that thing grew like crazy. And so it's not just the stags that'll show their genes, it's all these horned animals. When you're going into a basin full of numbers, is there that one that has the length, or just the size and dominance and characteristics?
I'm not the correct person to really properly answer that. The likes of Cam Speedy is probably a good one. Joseph Peter would be a good one.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, Snow Hewlettson would be the bloody good one too. There's definitely genetics, but there's definitely tucker involved. That's the key. I mean, I've seen 14-inch bulls that are 5 years old get shot, and it's a beautiful bull, but you're just looking at it going, "Holy shit, what could it have been?" And then you see beautiful bloody 11-inch bulls stacked with age rings, 12, 14 years old. You're like, awesome. A lot of people would have looked it over. Yeah, so it does. I notice it more for chamois that it's regional, that horn growth. I don't notice it so much for tahr, probably because they're a little bit more condensed. Those guys do a better job of answering for sure.
Yeah. On that 11-inch 12-year-old, obviously the bases would show it, but that's probably more of a trophy, isn't it? And then the skin to go with it.
That's the dream. That's what we want to shoot. Yeah, that's I wouldn't pass it up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, going to the Douglas score, it is about the base as well. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, horned game like that is age.
Yeah.
It's got to be age. I mean, I had a client take, was it two Novembers ago? Yeah, so 2 years ago now. A chamois doe, and we'd already shot a very nice buck, and he was a European, and he had a very good appreciation for game, you know. And we spotted this thing through the spotting scope after having already shot his good buck. And here's this old doe, one horn doe. And he's like, shit. We watched it for, I don't know, 40, 50 minutes just to make sure it was dry, didn't have a kid with it. And eventually, I'm like, yeah, no, it's dry as hell. It's not got a kid. So if you want it, it's yours. Smack it. And that thing was like 18 years old. Not like teeth were just stubs, but that is the trophy. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
That is the trophy. Yeah.
I think there is a female in the record books, actually. I might be wrong. But but what did you get?
The longest, from my understanding, again, Joseph will correct me, especially if I'm wrong, the longest length chamois in New Zealand was a female, my understanding.
Yeah. Yes, I think we might be on the both wrong.
Well, yeah.
Just on that European experience there, and that was one of the best NZ Hunter episodes I've seen when Greg went over and hung out with the Swaro guys, and they took him chamois hunting in Austria, and the amount of animals they looked over and aged, and it wasn't, you know, no, Greg, no, not that one, not that one, not this one, not this one. Well, there's the one. You know, what was it like getting somebody with that upbringing coming to hunt with you, and like you said, you watched that doe for a long time. What's that sort of level like?
He wasn't as serious. He was nowhere near as serious as those Austrians. This guy was Spanish.
Yeah.
He'd hunted a lot. His brother was an outfitter in Spain, so he certainly appreciated it. You know, to him it was character and age over length or whatever. It was refreshing. I love those type of hunters because they actually hunt for the right reasons. They don't give a shit. They're just, well, I'd rather not shoot anything than shoot something that's young and not at its full potential.
Yeah,
and it speaks volumes.
And what's their patience like? Is it to get to a good outcrop and use the glass, or they're happy to sort of keep walking to new basins, or what are those sort of tactics?
I guess this, you know, that probably varies. This guy was, you know, 35 years old and pretty damn fit, and he had his wife with him, and they were fine on the hill. They were great. Most Europeans we get are awesome on the hill. They understand it.
Yeah. And what do they think of their mountains?
They love it. Yeah, they love it. Yeah. It's so similar. Like, you know, the landmass of our Alps is not that dissimilar to the European Alps in a way.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And I know that I definitely need to get back there and take on a bit of the steepness now that I've tried these North Holland hills. and also had that conversation with Matt Gibson. No, there's nothing wrong with a bit of elevation. It never hurt anybody. So
exactly.
Yeah, especially
keeps you honest, doesn't it?
Yes, no. I guess that's like importing apparel. It comes with experience, and the confidence comes with experience.
Wow. Yeah, it still causes you headaches. Trust me.
Speaking of headaches, you brought up the social media, and have promised to get the two girls from Seeker Hunting Stories on, because they're having an absolute headache with Instagram not letting them put their website into it, because their tagline or the description of their website has hunting in it. And I even noticed on my page, I'll have my page will reach a bunch of people, and then all of a sudden it's, so good time for me is 200, and then all of a sudden I'm on 50. I'm like, I'm posting stuff. Why is nobody seeing this? And I'm not even posting hunting, but I think it's because my logo has a stag in it, and I've seen a few people's stag animals photography disappear.
I have spent many an evening basically banging my head against a wall going, what the actual... I've had, one of my adverts that I've used in a lot of magazines and this and that is a buddy of mine, Ben Campbell.
Yeah.
And here he is, the shot is from just behind him. He's looking through a spotting scope and some wicked West Coast tar terrain. There's not a rifle in the shot. He's wearing half camo, half solid color, looking through a spotting scope. And I posted on Facebook and tried to put a couple of bucks behind it or do something. No, we don't promote weapons. You're sorry? You don't promote? And so, and of course, by the time you do all this and go back to them, you've lost that sort of runway you had. And then they come back to you and go, no, sorry, it's, we don't, what is it, the wording? It's anything sensational. But, well, it's not sensational. Here's the context it's in, and da-di-da-di-da. And of course, by the time they actually go, yeah, you're right, and approve it, you're like 3 days later and you don't give a shit anymore, eh?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's highly frustrating, and I can't see that shit getting any better.
Yeah, no, even a guy I followed, Brett Soren, he had 3 images of the whitetail that he got, and I hadn't seen any of them. And going back to John Rivet, he'd shared, oh, congratulations, bird on your whitetail. I was like, shit, that looks like it was a few days ago. And we did to his feed. Sure enough, there's these 3 photos that I hadn't seen any of them. And I was like, hey, well done, but shit, Instagram looks like it's hiding you from me, and I want to see you. No,
it's a hard one for sure. And I, to be honest, I still don't know the answer. I have some wins and many a balls up, and still try and work it out. But I think that's actually just going to get harder for the hunting industry. But what it does do, you got to look at positives, and what it will do is, hunters that would normally have followed this shit on social media and got their little feed or whatever they're into and whatever they want to read. Obviously, if it's not there because it's getting censored, they're going to look for it. So they're going to end up going to direct to websites and going and searching this stuff out. And so that's where SEO and all that sort of stuff comes in. And yeah, there's positives in it. It's just a bit of a pain in the butt. Yeah,
definitely talking to Cam Anderson about it. It was all good for him.
Yeah, well.
Hey guys, I've got a website and a magazine.
There you go. Yeah, you can look quite legit.
No, it's it's not even hunting. It's there's a lady on Instagram called Sustainable Dish, and she promotes the actual other side of the story of animal agriculture, in particular beef. And she's finding that people can't actually even follow her. They try click follow on Instagram, and it won't let her. It won't let them. So
really?
So then I saw Rob Wolf has had enough. Yeah, because his SEO from Google's perspective got absolutely annihilated. And he put up a post today that 1st of November, so that's not far away, he's doing something about it. And I know another guy in the States who's a hunter, and he had murmurs of creating another platform as well. So who knows? Wow. There's some smart people out there that know a lot more about how to do an app than I do.
It's all changing so damn quick. Like, even in the short time that I've been, like, I don't do social media for myself. I've got it, but I don't post anything. But in the short time that I've been on it, from a Point South perspective, shit has changed. Like, I've really noticed how that engagement level just drops and the reach drops, and just
and that's what I said to Paul Michaels. I said, mate, you got on Facebook at the perfect time. I was seeing his deer dog indicating videos every day.
yeah, totally. But he was still 10 years too late, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he did all right, but yeah, you're right. It could have been even better.
Yeah. Yeah, he's relentless though too. Like he does do a good job of getting at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
good mate. So, what do you got planned? What are the big things for Cam McKay? Point South, First Lite from New Zealand. What are the big things?
Big things. Long term, short term.
Give us one of each.
Short term, I've got some hard case farmers from the Wairarapa coming down this whatever the next weather window is, and we're going to go and look for a tar on the coast. That's
Awesome.
the short term. I'm looking forward to that. Long term, yeah, keep building on what we're doing. You know, like we are constantly trying to add more stuff or more First Lite stuff to our range, and it's just it's only you can only grow so quick. We can only hold so much stock, and we're just slowly expanding it. So it's exciting to see how quick that is growing, which is bloody awesome. So there's some exciting new stuff in store for next year, like some completely new categories of product, and well, actually two new categories of product in a way, but then a lot of other different ones or new takes on old ones. So that's cool. Other than that, we're going to try and add new brands to the store. We've got a few in the pipeline that we're working with and looking at. Again, keeping it that mid to high end sort of piece of the market. For me, it's just working on all of that and trying to piece that all together and try not to go broke in the process.
And what one other brand that you guys do have, the Twin Needle guys, what's it like connecting with a New Zealand company that makes quality stuff?
Oh, yeah, I could not speak more highly of that product or those people. It's as good as it gets, literally.
And do you think it's because it's basically bespoke, or what do you think the difference?
No, it's because they give a shit. They spent probably 2 years on that bino harness, just taking to pieces why you use one and how you use it, and then also looking at every other one on the market and going, what can we improve on? And they got it pretty damn good.
Yeah,
like it's a bloody good example. So, yep, and you do pay a bit more for it, but so we should. It's New Zealand produced and it's A grade materials and craftsmanship. It's worth it.
Yeah. Were they army guys then, or
They do have a lot of big military contracts, so that is a lot of what they do. But Matt, he's an owner, is a bloody serious hunter in his own right. Like he gets at it, like seriously gets at it. Like I remember sharing a photo of a random dead tar head that someone had tied to a bush, maybe 4 or 5 years before I took the photo.
Mm-hmm.
All it shows is that.
Yeah.
And he messages me like, "Hey, bro, is this in this spot?" It's a very, very obscure spot. And I'm like, "Holy hell!" Like, yeah. Like he's walked some miles, that man. So yeah,
That's awesome.
he uses his gear.
I remember saying to him because they've got those I don't even know what they're even called, the kind of like utility vest things that military use that they attach a whole bunch of pouches to and things. And I said, mate, have you got any plans to turn that into a weight vest? He's like, oh, no. But I was like, shit, that's well made. That'd go really good. Chuck a few plates into it and try practice, as much as you can getting ready for the hill.
Mate, you talk to him, he'll build
it. Yeah, no,
seriously.
I love their pages, and like you say, the detail, the passion that they get across is fantastic.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cool because it goes right through their staff. Like their staff are all just the same attitude, just passionate, give a shit, use the gear. It's cool. It's what it should be.
Yeah. The reason why I was wondering if they were military, I listened to Paul talk to the Hardy rifle guys, and those two are ex-military armsmen, and shit, just how involved they are in that product. It's like, man, no wonder it's what they've made is so cool. Yeah. So we spoke about the social media. Where do people find it? It's pretty easy, isn't it? Just point south. with an S, two
Oh,
S's.
yeah, yeah, two S's. Bang it in. Ideally, it'll come up.
Shadow banned.
Yeah, yeah, it should come up. Yeah, it's a funny one. Going back to that, like if I look at my web traffic, like if anyone looked outside in, you'd think Point South is all about Facebook.
Yeah.
My web traffic would be 14-15% driven from Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it is all Google or direct. Like it's surprising.
Yeah, actually, the irony of that is the podcasts that I've had hunters on, and I do my best to share it across various hunting Facebook pages, always get the best reach.
Yeah.
So they're quite happy for you to speak amongst yourselves. Just don't go promoting it.
Yeah, as soon as you go to a business page as well, you know, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, they're stoked for you to pay for it.
Yeah.
Cool, but you don't even need to type it in. Just go into the show notes of this podcast and click the link. That'll make it easier. That'll make sure people do actually don't spend 5 minutes frustrated at their phone, like where is this? Awesome, Cam. Thanks for doing this. Obviously, last night I was having daughter problems. You're not the first guest to get interrupted. Billy's actually managed to come and feature on a couple of these, running through the door. But
perfect.
Yeah, no, it's good. We usually get people to leave us with a thought or a way they live their life, or something that hasn't really done them wrong. It's a sort of quote or something like that. What do you reckon?
Bloody hell! I would have thought of this prior if I'd worked it out. What hasn't done me wrong? Old Toyota Hiluxes, really.
Yes.
Well, actually, I did just ding up the last one and haven't had this one that much. Yeah, maybe that's not the best example. The hills, man. The hills never did anyone any harm.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of it. Pretty simple, really.
Brilliant. No, I like that. With the long weekend being in Tauranga, I'm going to go back and visit the Kaimai jungle just for, punishment's sake.
Long weekend?
Yeah.
This weekend?
Labor weekend, and Hawke's Bay will get an extra day. It's fantastic.
Oh, shit, great. Self-employed. I'll give myself a bloody day in lieu and friggin' time and a half. That'll be good.
Love it. Right, I'm going to press stop there. Hope people will enjoy this. Your southern sense of humour is always good, and it's always good to have a yarn with another southerner legend.
Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Cheers.